That's all we can do.
I'm doing that.
Super. Yeah, it's recording now. But up where it says recording, there used to be a link to go live on YouTube, and then you could copy the link.
I had nothing up there.
No. I think Linda must have done something to enable that, so we'll have to speak to her after tonight.
She's not coming.
Oh, I don't know. Quite possible.
Okay. Got about 43 things open now. Are you going to let people in?
Yeah, I'll let Jeff in now.
I'll just go and get my bits and then I'll be back.
Good evening, Jeff.
Evening, Peter.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you,
I
Jeff.
can't hear you for some reason.
I'm muted
2
myself.
seconds, probably me.
Good evening, John.
Try again.
Can you hear me now, Jeff?
Yes, good. Got you now.
Yeah, really good.
Oh, I had my speakers switched off for some reason.
Evening, John.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Certainly can.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
okay, John.
Good, good.
Janet and I are just learning the ways of Zoom at the moment.
Yes.
We've got one slight problem, but I'll go through that in a moment when everyone arrives. I think this is the most difficult meeting to do on Zoom, isn't it? The planning applications one. It's,
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you dressed for winter, Jeff?
Pardon?
Are you dressed for winter there?
I've just been out actually. I had this on. I've been down to Highley Gate, the garden centre. And I had this on, and I had my jacket with my fur liner on as well. When you get old, Peter, you start to feel the cold. Is that right, John?
That's true.
They were laughing at me at training on Tuesday night because I had my long johns on under my tracksuit bottoms.
Oh.
So it's probably started already.
Yeah, it's keeping it up.
Yeah.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, Janet.
I'm back.
Good.
I tried twice to get onto the county council planning portal for the last couple of days, and I couldn't get on. So I haven't seen any of the.
Yeah, good. It's been running really slow. They posted a message to say they were
Oh, right.
sorry it was really slow, but
Oh, is that right? Oh, good. I'm glad I wasn't the only one then.
Yeah.
I've managed to get some documents downloaded, Jeff, but it has taken probably about 20 minutes
Yeah.
to document. So,
Mm.
I found in the past if you can't get on, you leave it for a few hours, go back, it's okay. But for some reason, it just wasn't playing ball. Hi, Martin. I hope there's just tea in there.
Sure.
You've got your audio switched off, Martin.
you're on mute.
You're muting.
I'm not in mute.
Oh,
You're on now.
I'm not in mute. What's going on, people? It's
Oh.
dark. Dark. 6:30 or where?
Well, that's it. Mm.
bit of a shame, Alan leaving us.
Mm.
very much so.
I had a feeling when he left the meeting the other night that he might resign.
He sort of went halfway through without any comment, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's been accumulation of a few things over the last couple of months. He's been very frustrated at the lack of information coming out the forum, which, it's not our meeting, so we kind of dictate. But
No, exactly.
um,
Nothing we can do about it. It's up to county to say what we can, share.
then the bus station fiasco, I think, upset a lot of people. Certainly upset
Hmm.
me. I think that was the last story. Really.
Jeff, in general, there's more to the Alnwick Town Council than one subject, to be fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
there
right.
is.
If we all did that, I'm just saying my bit, if we all did that, the thing wouldn't work. So if you stamp your feet and you didn't get your way, you didn't have your toys at the prom and pack your bag, do you? If everybody did that in life,
Well, that's true.
That's the end of that.
Yep.
It's a shame though, because he was a good councillor, Alan.
Mm.
Evening, Peter.
Good evening. How are you?
Hello. Mm.
Interesting week.
Certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
One way to describe it, Peter.
You got something to report, like, Peter?
Another case of COVID in Alnwick today.
What was
Oh
that?
dear.
Mm.
Anybody we know?
I can't really say, but unfortunately, he was out at the weekend in Newcastle and felt ill yesterday.
There you go.
Never learn, man. Never learn.
Not a good idea to go drinking in Newcastle right now. It's just like that's how it's spreading around. It's a bit
Of course it is.
pretty obvious.
And then you've got the mayor of Manchester acting a little bit childishly.
Well, he's
Very
You know.
dangerous.
I can
Just
see
tough.
where he's coming from, but come on, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think
The
we're
quicker
gonna-
we get it done, the quicker it'll be finished.
Well, hopefully, but we said that
Well,
the last
hopefully.
time, didn't we?
Well, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Evening, Linda.
Hi, everybody.
Ireland.
Oh,
More than that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We'll learn to put up with all this until we get the vaccine. However long that's going to take.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Just a shame they can't extend the trial instead of just picking on 3,000 people or whatever that they were doing. It was just like, because whatever Donald Trump had, it seemed to work for him, but I didn't even think he had the virus in the first
Why?
place.
No, of course. No.
But I think he did.
Dettol.
Yeah, that's it. Inject himself with disinfectant. That was the
I
answer,
think
wasn't
he still had it when he was spreading it around in the White House as well. And he was still ill when he was on the balcony saying, I have never been better. I've never felt better in my whole life. And he's going,
I'm pleased you didn't come at the crowd and kiss me. That would have been it. Like,
Yeah, God. I'd have kept the mask on if he had.
he'd be no.
I want to put the nut right on him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I might have even done that. I wouldn't be able to do it, but I might have done.
Oh, put the nut right on him. Yeah. baby.
Uh,
Linda,
Uh-huh.
You must have done something clever to get the YouTube button on, did you?
No, it is. Oh, I can't see it. It should be along the bottom.
Yeah, because obviously Janet set this meeting up, and we don't have that functionality. So technically, we're not live. So in my view, obviously the public have the right to see and hear the discussion. I think we might have to waive the fact that that's going to be live tonight, and we'll record the meeting and make it available if anybody wants to see it.
Right.
Are you comfortable with that, Linda and Jeff?
Yes, I don't think as many people watch anyway, to be honest.
No.
Oh, but Ian might be.
Ian normally watches it the day after.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
There's always one person who at least one person who watches.
yeah, that's my husband usually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
He misses Janet terribly while she's at council meetings.
Yeah.
Make him watch
To
it.
make sure he knows where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I can't see a button on here for it. It's
No, we couldn't.
you know where the record button is and the reactions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's usually next to them.
Odd.
So time-wise, people.
You might
I'll
have to
find
have you might have to have a YouTube either account or channel, and I've got both. So
Right.
that might be why.
Yeah.
We'll look into that and get that sorted for. We'll probably get an official one for the town council, because the Zoom is in the town council's name now.
Yeah, I don't set up meetings anymore. Everybody, if you need a meeting set up, ask Janet or Peter or Tim.
Yeah.
Yes, Tim can
Yeah.
as well.
And
So
that,
we paid for
that'd be
licenses for the
great.
three of us.
Yeah, that would be a major help.
Of course, Alan.
And especially for each of you as well, because that was the big problem. You can't appoint other admins, you can't do anything, but you can between you share that.
Yeah, I have to say it's a lot more complicated than Teams is.
Is it?
Teams is so straightforward. Yeah.
With the recording quality in mind and the meeting quality is good on Zoom.
Yeah. It's
Might
the
be that.
best. It is the best.
Yeah, it's good.
Hi.
So people,
Hello,
Time-
Peter.
time's kicking on. I've got it nearly just after 25 to 7. So, evening, Peter Edge. He's on mute. So, if you're not, I think what we've done in the past to save any background noise is just everybody put their microphones on mute, and apart from the people who are key to the meeting, because I'm chairing the meeting tonight, by the way. So I'm going to be hearing my voice for as long as we're on air. So I think we'll just start, people. We'll just ask Peter here for any apologies.
No apologies.
Martin Swinbank.
Okay.
Thank you, Janet. Apart from the chair, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And as we always do with our round table meetings, I was going to say it's a long time since I was in a round table. All council meetings, if we have any declarations of interest, you can declare them now, or if anything comes to light during the meeting, could you bring it to our attention, and then we can address it as we go. So can we have approval of the minutes of the meeting, which was held on the 17th of September 2020. I wasn't here, so I would expect somebody who was there at the last meeting to take this forward, please. So that's Jeff Watson's approving those. All those in favour? Peter Edge, are you there? Happy? Okay. Any matters arising from the minutes of the previous meeting, including any notified outcomes? So, Peter, is there anything that we need to look at?
Yeah, there'll be some outcomes. Janet will go through those. Do you want me to share the minutes of the last meeting on the screen?
If you can, I think it'll be great. Yep. I've got on my button, but just for my benefit. No. Break it.
Can everyone see them?
Yeah.
Yep.
So everybody, if you've had a chance to look through everything that was kind of discussed at the meeting. Must have been a heavy meeting, I can see by the amount of ground that was covered.
Mm.
Is there anything on there that we need to look at or notify the outcomes of anything on there, which we'll come to at the end, I think, innit?
I've got just one on any other business, Martin, if I could.
Okay.
We've had the official notification of the TPOs for the trees at Alban House. Oh, Linda's waiting. Let me just let Linda in and then we can. Sorry, I've just let Linda Wood Mitchell in.
Okay.
So she'll be here in a second. There she is.
You, Linda? Linda, where's your hat?
Sorry, I'm late.
Where? So sorry, Janet was just making a comment there, Linda. Janet, can you repeat what you said, please?
Yeah, we were just doing any other business from the previous minutes, Linda. Just to say that we've had the TPO information for the trees at Alban House.
Oh, yes.
So they are going to make 3 TPOs. I've got 2 confirmed. I've got the legal paperwork here, and the other one is just being finalised. So they've put a TPO on the large beech tree in the Lodge House garden. And then they've also put a woodland TPO, which I've not come across before. But what that means is that not only are the trees protected that are growing currently, but any saplings that grow from those trees are also covered by the TPO.
That's very good.
So it will include any new trees that grow sort of underneath them. And then the other one, and that's in the area between Alban Lee and the Alnwick Garden car park. It's that big stretch of trees up that side. And then she's just working out the boundary of the other TPO, and that will be just a standard TPO. So we'll just cover the trees within the given area.
Right.
But that's quite positive, happened quite quickly.
Excellent.
Pushing Esther, been pushing Esther quite hard, but yeah, but she's been good. She's done those quite quickly. So yeah, that's all good.
If I can just say, can we acknowledge that we're grateful that it has happened so quickly after the
debacle.
The debacle, that's one of the Duke's School.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why they've pushed it through quite quickly. So yeah, but that was good news.
That's excellent, Janet. Well done, thank you. So everybody okay up to now? Number 5 is the minute responses made since the last meeting.
Yeah, we've made 3, Martin, if I can just go through them. We've made, if you remember, we had the pre-app that we hadn't got much documentation on, and then we decided not to do it in a public meeting because pre-apps are sort of private. But what we did at this stage is we just said that Alnwick Town Council are unable to make comments at this stage as we feel there's insufficient information on this application. Right. So hopefully they'll come back to us with more info. It's also now vanished off the portal, so not quite sure where it's gone, but it's gone for the time being. The next one was the MOD communications site at Brisley Wood. We had no objections to that. And then the third one was the new quarry, the land north of Shield Dykes at the Swollen Junction. Yeah. We had quite a few comments to make. We objected to the planning application. I'll just cover the main areas, but the details will be in the minutes when I send them out. The key issue was about traffic, about them, going across the A1. If you're in a 7.5-ton truck, you're allowed to drive across the A1 and turn right. Yep. If you're not, you go left and you come into the Willowburn roundabout. So they all go into Alnwick and round the roundabout. We had issues with the public right-of-way. There is a public right-of-way on that site, and we felt that they needed to sort of look at that. Public protection could be an issue. The wind blows from that direction and there could be excessive noise and excessive dust. We also had an issue about light pollution. Obviously, they're going to have the area lit. And then about the environment, because it borders, I think it's 2 burns that it borders. And we were just concerned and asked the environmental officer to have a look at all those things. Excellent. So we've submitted those comments. I've also sent them to all the other councils that were asked for their comments. one came back and said, well, it's not an owl patch. And I said, well, it's like 10 yards from Newton-on-the-Moor. So I sent them all our comments and I told them they were happy to use them if they felt it was appropriate. So
Good.
and they're the only comments, Martin.
Well, Jeff Watson's got his hand up, so Jeff, it's you.
Just a little bit of information on that, Chair. I think I mentioned that I was going to contact our local MP, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, which I did. I emailed her, and on a personal basis, I emailed her and asked her. I basically brought it to her attention if she wasn't already aware, and asked her whether she would like to comment on the application. I didn't get a response from her, but I got a response from her office to say that she will not get involved until the County Council Planning have made their decision. And then she will, if she feels that it's the wrong decision, she may get involved at that point.
Right. Well done, Jeff.
Okay, well done.
Sorry,
Hey,
Martin,
John?
I forgot to mention, I did speak to the planning officer, Catherine, who said that it would take, I think she was expected to have a decision by the beginning of December. She felt it would take a lot longer than that for her to reach a decision. So there is sort of time to intervene at several points. So,
Linda, one.
Remind me, Janet, is it going to be off as a decision, or has it to go into, is it being called in?
it hasn't been called in. She's the officer that deals with kind of county-wide sort of those types of applications, so kind of industrial applications. But she could well ask for it to go to committee.
And we can as well, can't we?
Yeah, we can.
I think we ought to do that.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm looking for guidance for that naturally.
Second that, I think we should. Sorry, Jack, I thought we would automatically ask to call it in, but if we haven't, we should, I think.
Okay. So to kind of recap, that's what Jan's going to do. Just that's grand. Anything else for us, Janet?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, we're dancing in the moonlight tonight. So, planning applications, number 6.
Okay, so I don't know if everybody else has had the same difficulty that I've had in accessing the portal. My original plan was to just to only share the screen if I needed to, but I'm guessing I'm probably going to need to on all 4, am I?
I think it would be good if you could.
Yeah, okay. It's taken me, to be fair, it's taken me about at least 15 minutes to download each one, so I haven't got many applications for each one, but hopefully I've picked out the key ones.
I was just going to say I tried yesterday and couldn't get in at all.
Yeah, it's been really difficult.
I copy and pasted the reference number and managed to get into 2 tonight, but it took absolutely ages, as you say, Peter. So I haven't seen the last 2 at all.
Okay, so what I'll just put up what I think are probably the key documents for each application and just give you a quick rundown. So the first one's obviously for the former Lindisfarne Middle School. It's obviously a project that we've been aware of for some time, and the applications for the refurbishment of the annex building, which includes the stripping of 4 roof elevations, the replacement of the timber windows with UPVC replacements, the installation of solar panels, quite a large M&E upgrade, loft installation, creation of classroom spaces for community use, which is obviously the purpose of this floor plan, to give you a feel for what's going in at the former Lindisfarne site, and an extension from to the front elevation to increase the cafe area.
Well, as a chairman, I live in Greensfield Avenue. I don't know if there's anything I need to disclose or make people aware, but I haven't had any negatives or positives against anything to do with Lindisfarne, just in case anybody thinks, Martin, you live on that street. Doesn't really affect me, and I welcome anything really what's making the thing better for everybody involved. Anybody have any comments? John's not born. Jeff's all right. Where's Linda Wood Mitchell gone? Are you there? Still there?
I'm here, Martin. It's I don't know who's investing the money, but I'm pleased somebody is finally investing some money in, and it's actually nice to see something going forwards rather than backwards, like most things are in Alnwick at the minute.
Yeah. I say that site, as you'll know, I think there's other plans for other activities on the land in the grass area, but it needs to be done as quick as possible, whatever, because the young'uns are in the summer and deciding to hang around in certain places. So whatever is positive in my eyes to get the thing moved forward for everybody's benefit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So I would say there's no comments on that particular item. Are you all right there then, Peter? So the next one is the 53 College View, which looks like an extension over proposed living room extension and bedroom extension over wherever, over the Wolf.
Over the top. So I just picked out the existing floor plans and the proposed. So that's the existing floor plan. Can you see that? No, because I haven't shared my screen. Bear with me. Okay, so that's the existing plans.
College View.
And
you see, just in general, I think it's a good thing for anybody to
that's the new plans there.
yeah. Anybody to make better the current property in this climate, it's similar to everybody else has done in that area. We're governed by the planning department anyway, but it's just comments, people. That's what we're looking for. Just anybody has any comments. I would welcome anybody who wants to make their property better and bigger. Peter,
just when Peter's doing the difference between the two, is it not possible for the planning department to do like a coloured overlay over the top so that you're not, because everything's online at the minute, rather than having different sets of plans, so you have the floor plan and what the new floor plan's going to look like as an overlay on the top of it?
Well, Peter, you can answer that one.
I think it's a good idea, Peter. I think the problem is though that obviously the plans come in from the applicant,
right?
So they would have to be forced, and it would be quite a significant change, I would think. Well, actually, how sensible Peter's comment is will be evident in the next item, because it's going to be difficult for us to look at the two, because there are some changes between what has been approved and what they are asking for approval for.
Linda Worm, please.
Yeah, I'm just not clear what they're going to do. I think there must be an existing flat roof underneath, but this thing over. So I'm assuming that they're just building a second story and improving whatever is below it.
Living room extension and a bedroom extension. So it's extending whatever's there, Linda, so you're right.
But it looks like there's already a something on the front of that house. Maybe it's just the porch. I don't know.
Jeff, what's in?
Just to say, I think there's been a couple of similar ones done down there. I don't see any problems with it.
No. Oh, grand. Okay, everybody happy with that?
Mm-hmm.
Peter Edge, very quiet. Are you all right, brother? Peter Edge?
I'm all right. Apologies, the connection went down before, but absolutely fine, yeah.
Good man. Well done, Peter. So the next one is, I had tried to have a look at this one on the internet like everybody else before the meeting, but I just couldn't quite grasp what is happening. Hope House Cottages, is that two cottages or one cottage named as one, or is it the old house? Hope House Cottages.
Yeah, this is a slightly complicated one, especially when the system isn't particularly quick. So it's a Barco, and they're looking to change condition number 2 from the original approved application. Condition number 2 was a stipulation that the refurbishment should follow the plans that were submitted. Okay, so now we have to go and look at the plans that were submitted against what they have put in this time. Does that make sense?
Yep. Well, just a little
Okay.
bit on this one. If it's where I think it is it's next to Hope House Farmhouse, which is a listed building.
Yeah.
And there's 2 cottages together, which developed the back of the property without planning permission in the beginning of COVID. And I actually reported to the enforcement officer. Since then, there's Jeff's got it. That's them. To the right, they're going to build a bungalow. Jeff, can you bring that a little bit further onto the screen just to show? It'll probably clear itself. There you go. So on the right, you can see that red building. There's a pigeon ducket. That's gone now, and they're going to build a bungalow there. But on the left, there's 2 buildings in the smaller little lower building. So there's 2 houses. One's up and down, and the second one is up and down and a bit to the right. At the back of there, they've developed the back end and extended the slopey roof to take dormer windows without planning permission. So enforcement officers it'll probably end up being permitted development, but I can't explore, I can't go and visit it because of COVID. I said, you don't need to visit it, you can watch it from the footpath if you get in your car and drive to the site. So that's what happened. So between the permitted development, that will link into now what we're discussing now. They must have allowed it through permitted development, but looking for some kind of condition to be changed. And without looking at that original, Peter, that's where
that's the original there, Marty. And this is where it becomes difficult because I can't, because they're both PDFs, I can't sort of merge the screens, if you like. In terms of the differences, because I've sort of played spot the difference this afternoon with this, if you ignore this element on the left and probably focus on this part, you'll probably get a feel for where the changes are. Okay. A couple of things that I've picked up in terms of they've added air source heat pumps into the design, which you'll see. But there are some changes to the pictures of the roofs, etc. So that's the original application. Bear with me. Okay, and this is the new one. So the air source heat pumps in here.
And they've changed where some of the doors and windows are as well.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Window in there. Etc.
And I think they've added a weather vane. I don't know what that's about, but.
So the plan that we're referring to here is for the bungalow, the new bungalow, which is at the back, up the back of the 2 cottages, rather than the cottages. So the cottages are still as they were originally, even though.
Yeah, there's the red line of the plan application there.
That's the application that we're referring to.
Yeah.
So the other one's another story for another day.
Yeah.
Well, the thing being is, it is what it is. And it's all done within the council planning. I haven't got any any comments, but naturally everybody else has a chance to make comments.
We just final point for me, Mark. We didn't have any objections to the original application.
Jeff's got his hand up.
Yeah, just to say that what was there was the old pigeon, as you say, Martin, the old pigeon loft, pink, red, which looked really awful, to be honest. And looking at the photographs they've supplied, old tin sheds, and so all that's going to be taken away, and they're going to build this, what I think is quite a reasonable building in that location. So I personally wouldn't have any objections to it. It looks fine.
No, I agree.
It'll look better than what's there at the moment.
Peter Broom.
Yes, Martin, just when you go back to that, what you were originally talking about, the building on the back of that those two houses. I mean, they've gone right along the whole thing and put dormer windows in. And I watched that being built as well during lockdown, and I felt it was a little bit, because I thought, well, I ain't seen any application for that. So is there no application at all for that?
No.
Not yet.
I didn't get that.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make to the enforcement officer.
Yeah.
The guy next door has got a listed building, and he
Yeah.
had to get a planning approval to change a pane of glass in
Yeah.
our meeting.
Yeah.
And yet, this person or persons who are developing the properties have just cracked on, changed the total appearance at the back of the properties without
Yeah.
planning approval, without building regs even. Just
Yeah.
cracked on. But that's not what we're dealing tonight. I just
No,
make people
no.
aware of the type of things that are happening during this period. But
Yeah.
if nobody's got any comments, then that's that.
That's
Just
fine,
be
yeah.
a case of letting it go, Peter.
Champion.
Everybody happy?
Mm-hmm.
That's everybody nodding. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Now then, Hope House Cottages done that one. The Duntons, 46 the Duntons. What we got, Pete?
46 the Duntons, yeah. Okay, first of all, to show you the application for this. So 46 the Duntons. Construction of garden store and raised planting bed to front elevation within the courtyard. This is obviously a retrospective. The work started on the 9th of the 9th, 2019. With me.
We're right in thinking that the planning was passed for this, for the work, and this is just a little bit of a tweak.
No, there's no planning approval for this work, Martin.
Right.
This is the work he was doing when he was stopped by the enforcement officer.
All right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So this bit is already built.
Right.
Yeah, I was
Can you see that bit there?
Yeah.
Is it
Mm.
that breeze block at the front of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it not the sandstone building that they've put up, which just is totally out of character? Did we not, was there not some sort of an agreement when we agreed that the garage could be built, that would be removed? So that you can drive in from both driveways when we changed the vehicle access from Hope House Lane and the Duntons.
Yes, that's my understanding as well, Peter. I'm sure you
Yeah.
know.
Fine.
Yeah, because nobody was happy with that building that's actually constructed. And to me, that's my opinion. It just looks hideous when you're driving along Blakelow Road and you look at it and it's smacky in your face. And
Yeah.
I seem to recall the owner said that he was going to remove that. Or
yeah,
it didn't appear on the plan, and I think I said, well, it's already got a great big brick
We'll start
out there, and
on that plan, Jeff.
yeah, what
Linda?
he's going to do. It's quite a substantial building.
In that area, I don't think its appearance would be something that we could actually object to. I recall saying that we thought it should be removed so that it allowed access. Now that might be an issue. I'm not sure if it will be, because it looks like they've got enough there space in front of it to be able to drive in and drive out again with those two access points.
Mm.
So I'm not sure we've got any grounds for objection other than we don't like it.
well, that's a good enough one, to be honest with you, Linda. It's a brick-built house, and this is sandstone.
Mm.
Yeah, no, Jeff, but it's not Peter, it's not a conservation area. It's not a listed building as a house, and not. If we objected to that, I don't think they'd take any notice of us.
We could ask that the facing matches the house. We could ask that the materials match the main dwelling.
That's a good idea, Janet.
We could do that, you know.
Yeah.
I think in general, with everybody who sits on the planning at the town council like we do, there's a lot of this happens where a bit of common sense approach just doesn't prevail. If the house is made of brick, any extensions that you would make would surely be in brick. If the outer wall, which it was a sandstone wall, you'd kind of keep that in, because that's what was there. But it's common sense approach, but it just doesn't transfer through. Like,
I agree with you, Martin. I don't disagree with any of that. And if there was a reason to object, I would be absolutely saying we should go for it.
But at the planning side, way above our heads in the powers at Morpeth or wherever they are, they kind of seem to take a different approach, because unless it's not against the I'm going to get the terminology right here, the core strategy, if there is a one, if anything just ticks the boxes, you can make it out of crisp packets if you wanted to, as long as it's stable. But it's very frustrating when you're looking in appearance to properties, and when people start working on them, say, I can get into a dark alley with the depth of the hole he's dug. If there was a lot of rain and bad weather, that whole house that he's got will collapse into that hole on the right-hand side. But that's not for me to discuss. Jeff's hand's going to drop off if I don't get him in.
Well, I knew you'd spot me, Martin. We should go back to if you remember, our original objection, which was that what was being done was not in keeping with its surroundings. And in the neighbourhood plan, that I believe there is something in there which states that any development has to be in keeping with its surroundings. Now, I presume everybody's gone to have a look at this. It's quite prominent where it is, and it is not in keeping with its surroundings. And I believe that was one of the main reasons that we originally objected to it. It hasn't changed. That brick outhouse, which I believe on the plan is marked as a store, is not going anywhere. And it's the first thing you see when you drive up the street is this huge sandstone brick
storeroom.
We'll call it an outhouse, but you know what I mean.
Linda, one.
It's not in keeping, that's what I'm saying.
I agree. I'd forgotten that was what we'd said, and that would be a reason for objection. So I totally agree with you, Jeff.
So to collaborate, what we're doing here, Janet's going to keep her right, of course, is that we're objecting that the appearance doesn't seem to be in keeping with the area. That's what kind of objection, and that this has already been looked at in a previous time. Comments have already been made from the town council that it's not in keeping with that area, and the appearance should be brick, to keep in with brick instead of stone.
Or it just shouldn't be there at all.
Yeah.
No, we cannot knock anybody for wanting to build stuff, Pete, but if it can make it all in keeping, it makes it a little bit better.
It does.
It does.
But you're supposed to apply for planning permission before you build something, not afterwards.
So that's you do need to start me off on that. I sat next to the top dude from County Hall that night, and we took him to bits, and it still hasn't. I don't know if he still works at County Hall. I've never heard no from him. I think it's been took to the ground because of all these retrospective planning. But as Gordon Castle said, you can build anything you like if you run the risk of it getting pulled down, and if you put in retrospective planning. So that's what we have to contend with, gentlemen and ladies. So is that a good kind of collaboration of what we discussed?
Yeah, I think we should just comment that we should maintain our original objection.
Yeah, I've got a note of that, Joe.
I wasn't involved with that, but was there anything ever sort of discussed about the size of this garage that was just suitably nice, with a utility room at the far end of it, which kind of could be used as rental accommodation in the future? Was that kind of...
We did make the point that any extension should only be used for the primary dwelling. We did make that comment.
Right. Okay, that's grand. Okay then. And is there any more applications, Peter? Is that all we've got?
No, that's all up tonight.
You've got one more, Peter.
Peter?
When did that come in?
It didn't come in. It's the top one on your agenda that you've missed.
Oh, dear me. Oh, the one that's in black.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I've missed it.
That's why I missed it as well. So we'll come back to that one, people. I'm reading the numbers. It's a plan application, full land west of Linnet Court, Hawfinch Drive Business Park. Installation of 6 electric vehicle charging points in the transformer station, and power cabinets and associated infrastructure to link So please keep an app number into portal search. Sorry, no link. Beg your
No
pardon.
link. There isn't, because it's actually in Denic, it's not in ANIC. So we don't get it put on our portal, but we just get notification that there is a planning application that we might want to look at. So that's how that came through.
So west of Linnet Court, any sort of landmarks we can link it to, Janet?
Blank piece of land behind the Highways England, kind of that bit somewhere over there.
Yeah.
Did I print a map? No, I didn't.
So
we've got a bit of time. If councillors would like to look at it and then send me some comments, that'll be fine. I spoke to the planning officer. He's a little way away from making decisions. The Highways Department have a list of additional information that they've requested. So they have some issues about, I think, about parking, which is strange, but.
So I'm right in thinking, Janet, these are going to be used for the council vehicles and sometime in the future?
No, they're for use by anybody. They're not, it's a private company that's installing them. But they're based in Birmingham and they do lots of installations around the country.
So just everybody's having a look here and you're thinking to yourself, all people do out there is walk their dogs at the minute. And it's dark, it's not very nice. You makes you wonder why you'd think you want to put 6 charging stations there when there's ones at Marks and Spencer's are not even used.
I suppose because it's the other side, the A1. I don't know.
I can see the attraction, as I see, for like council vehicles, because of us all the council workers, and you've got growth in that area. But anything for electric charging, I've got to be positive and say we have to support it, really. Jeff Watson?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Google map. There's the Church of Jesus Christ right next door to it. I don't know what that means. Northumberland Care Trust, NFU Mutual. So there's quite a few office type business park.
Sorry, I've got it open if you want to have a look at it.
Linda, you're the star. Please give us a look.
So I must be beside Genix then.
Yeah.
Aye.
Well, that would be all right.
But it's an empty piece. I think it might be brownfield, but it's an empty piece of land. It said so.
Is it not like a temporary car park, Janet, at the back there?
I think so. Yes.
Just hardcore at the moment.
Yeah.
It's actually a good place to put it. There's quite a few offices around there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have any objection to that, to be honest. I think it's probably a useful place to put it.
Well, the thing is, going forward, there's a lot of people got electric cars now, and I'll come in a minute, 2 minutes, young fella. The use of the electric vehicles naturally is a big progression, even the hybrids and stuff. So I can imagine having more is rather than not having enough. And we can't have that complaint, especially when there's a service station or 2 service stations which hasn't got a facility on the site. So Peter Edge.
Yeah, apologies for that. My connection's really dodgy tonight, but yeah, no, I think it's probably a good spot because it's just off the A1, so it'll just it encourages people to go off, yet try and possibly not to clutter up the and things like that, really.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, if we are going to be on far more electric cars, we need more charging points. So it seems pretty positive if somebody wants to put that in. Yeah.
You can charge your car while you're having a fill-in.
You've got it right there.
I'm looking at the map. Station, Hawfinch Drive.
That's actually at the back of. It's round the back of Genix. It's not actually where I thought it was. It's where you turn in to go to the Hog's Head.
Yeah.
Where the big boulders
that's what I thought it was.
It's just going to be in on the left-hand side there, behind Genix and NFU.
Well, that's where the new sawmill's going as well, isn't it, Peter?
Right.
Good place for it.
Yeah, it is. Because that college business park there is going to be extended in there anyway. If like Martin's saying, there's something in the offing there anyway. So I think it's part of the future build, isn't it?
Thanks, Linda. That's a good map there. Yeah.
There's some of the documents, but I was trying to open them, and I'm opening them.
No, that's fine.
But that's
Yeah.
happy with that.
No, again,
Some consultee responses that you
Yeah,
might want to look at.
there's highways. The local, the flood authority have no comments to make, but highways do want some additional information, and then they want an updated plan once that information's been presented. So we may want to say what we normally say, that we've got no objections, but we would support the comments made by the highways officer.
yeah, I think that's a good way forward with it, John. Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get your electric car, electric van, Peter, and park it there and have your dinner. Okay, does that do with planning applications, you think? Yeah, excellent. Well done. So, a nice juicy bit of subject. Item 7 is a response to the government planning white paper for Alnwick Town Council.
Yeah, okay. I spoke to Martin at the end of last week about this. This has obviously been on the agenda for the last couple of planning meetings. Since the last planning meeting, the Civic Society arranged a Zoom meeting with Rob Murphy, the Director of Planning at County Hall, to get his views on the government white paper. Rob's view was kind of that he didn't see this going through for some time, not without significant change. So there seems to be quite a body of thought gathering around, particularly around the loss of local democracy in this and how it would all fit in. So I think the overall white paper is some way from going through, certainly in its current format.
Right.
In terms of our response, and this is my view, may or may not be shared by Martin, Rob Murphy has offered to, prior to the deadline on the 29th of October, the consultation deadline, a few days before that, Rob has agreed to share the County Council's response to the white paper with us. So my view that given this is a national strategic, massive policy shift, I think our response should probably be in support of the County Council's view.
Yeah.
We may want to highlight specific elements of the county's response and possibly add 1 or 2 bits to it. But I think in terms of determining our response, we should probably wait to see what county has to say. But that's my personal view.
Has anybody got any sort of different? I know it's a little bit meaty, this white paper, and it's going to have a lot of detail attached to it. And I don't know if anybody's managed to put the eye across it and look at it. But I would have just, Jeff's nodding. Jeff, have you been into it? Have you been into nuts and bolts?
We didn't print it, Jeff, did you?
No, I didn't.
72 pages.
And I didn't read it all. I speed read it. There was quite a few controversial things in there that I wasn't comfortable with. But I agree with Peter. It would take an awful long time for us to go through and make comments. I think unless when we get the County Council's response to it, unless we violently object to something they're saying or doing, it would be useful if the town council, if the county town, which Alnwick is, was in agreement with the county council. So I agree that we should wait and see, and then perhaps support the county council's views.
Can I get to John Humphreys? Just John hasn't had a chance to speak tonight. Go on, John.
No, I was just going to say, like Jeff, I just sort of speed read as much as I could. And to me, it just seems to be nothing more than a developer's charter. But I agree. I think there's no point in us trying to make our own separate comments. We might as well join with the county council, because at least it gives a bit more weight behind what we can want to do. And we may not agree 100% with what the county says, but perhaps we can make our comments within that. But I do feel quite right that we should actually amalgamate with the county.
And Linda, one, please.
Like Jeff and John, I've also read it, some of it. I haven't read it all, but I can't, it's so dense. But one thing I would like us to, and I support what Peter said, but one of the things that I would really like us to see is that this change, the lack of local democracy, the centralising of it, I really think we should put that in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we can tag that into the next sort of time it raises its head, after there's a little bit more progression, then we'll make sure we try and get them parts going in with it, Linda. Okay, everybody happy there? All right, Linda Wood Mitchell, you're sitting very quiet and peaceful. I'm watching you. I've got my eye on you, boy. Okay. Infilling of proposed greenway bridges. So I'm a little bit green on this, no pun intended. So I don't know who's got a big good grasp of this. Peter Reg, have you got any sort of chit chat to bring up to speed, or what's happening? What?
Yes, I do have some of this. Yeah, but I mean I can't tell you precisely. But the principle is that there are two bridges there. So do you know which two bridges? Does everybody know which these two bridges are actually? Is everybody sort of familiar with that? So the bridges that go, if you follow the old railway, as it were, the old railway track, as it leaves that new development and it weaves its way round, it goes over, there's a bridge at Rugley, and then you keep going round, and then there's a bridge where, Mossy Ford, the road to Rothbury. So both those bridges, Highways England have because they own the, although they don't own the land underneath, because they own the actual the road, they've proposed to infill under the bridges because they say they produced this report in 2010 to say that they were both unsafe.
Yeah,
been fined for the last 10 years, but there we go. So there's currently they did this, so they want to fill it in, and apparently that's the easiest and cheapest way of making them safe is just filling them full of, I don't know, rubble or soil or something like this, and then grassing over the top of them. Now, so that's what they want to do. Now that presents several sort of problems, and the neighbourhood plan sort of contradicts this a bit. I mean, one is the heritage, and that's the weakest part, because these bridges are being filled in, these heritage bridges. Another one is there's like the fact that like near Rugley, it's like a nature reserve on one of the sides that they're filling in. But then the most pertinent one.
Oh, Peter's away on the alcohol now.
Dodgy internet.
Is that there's a bit of a move trying to make this into a. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's terrible internet. I really apologise for this. Right. Okay, no problem. But the most important one for us is that it's there's a move to make it into a cycle walkway to go right around, because that would be really, really useful for from Alnwick to do this. And of course, if they build these, if they infill them, then that's a massive issue that sort of makes it impossible, because on one side it's a busy road, so you want to try and get people under it and then back onto the pavement, and then on the other bridge you want to get them under it because there isn't any way for them to go up onto the road and then go down again. So it presents a bit of a problem. So what's happened so far is Councillor Castle has contacted Highways and the planning department at county council have contacted Highways and looking at trying to stop that from happening straight away, and making that into a right of way, which would enable some other action to be done. So even if it was a tunnel and then it was infilled in above that or something like that, well, so that's currently what they're looking at doing, and that's sort of ongoing really. So that's about the update I've got. I can send you the emails which are far more precise about exactly what that means, and probably other people got some information. Yeah.
First lady had a hand up. Was Linda Warren, please?
I think Peter might be going to say the same.
No, carry on, Linda. It's okay.
I was going to ask. There was something that came out last week or the week before from saying that Highways England has changed their mind about filling underneath. Am I right, Peter? Yeah,
yes, and I've actually only latterly been copied into the far end of that conversation, so I was copied into the start of it and not the end, but I've managed to catch up today. It does appear that the county, I think, this is my understanding, can take over these bridges under certain circumstances. Is that right, Peter? And from speaking to Gordon today, I do think there's a bit of an appetite actually at County Hall as well to try and actually push on with the cycling walkways as well, to the point where it's been suggested that there's a working group set up between the town council and interested parties to try and push that forward. My view is that we should just use our sustainable travel group to start that, and probably at the next sustainable travel group, if we can get the right officers from county council along and any other interested parties that might want to just start that process and see exactly what is required of us, what's required of the county to try and push this. What could be actually something really positive out of something that could have been quite negative.
Yeah. Peter Broom's got his hand up.
Yeah, it's I believe that the track bed itself actually belongs to Northumberland Estates.
I would have thought so, Peter.
So if we could get Northumberland Estates on board to actually make it a public right of way.
Well, being a Lanark lad and up there and doing all bits and pieces, if you want to go, and I would recommend everybody who's sitting here tonight, go to Rugeley. Go through the wood and stand and look at the craftsmanship of these bridges.
Stunning.
That immense, the brickwork. They'll be here long after we're gone. But we should be able to encourage the maintenance and upkeep of them bridges as a feature of our area and our history, rather than just filling them in as this, oh, well, they've done that job and it's a safety issue. It's a bit like the pulling down a building situation.
Of course you could list them, you know, Martin. Anybody
Well, that's
can
what my next plan would be, if there's any appetite for that to take place, because there are, let me say, if you look underneath, over the years, people have had fires and tramps and kids have played and the bricks all clean. But if it was cleaned up with a power wash and a ray, there'd be a trail, which Peter suggests is a cycle. It would be real pleasure. The only downside is the one at Rugeley is used as a tip. People dump over the top. And the one up on Mossy Ford may be the different one. It's really wet and grubby underneath. But where there's a will, there's a way. And Allen Valley Railway are nearly down to Allenmouth, and they've had all sorts of issues. So we've got all the tools and the expertise to make this work. So where we take it from here and the comments we make, I don't know, but that's and I think everybody else is of the same on this meeting tonight. Jeff Watson.
Peter touched on it actually. There are ways to infill bridges without blocking them off entirely. You can use, I think it's formed concrete, and create a tunnel and still support the bridge. You can also do it with steel, which allows still allow you to go through. So if they are going to infill it, and I hope they don't, we should be suggesting the least possible support to allow people to still go through, and nature as well. You know, there are all sorts. It's a wildlife track.
Well, that railway line is, Jeff, up there.
Yeah. So there's lots of things to be taken into account, and I think we are objecting to it, and we should continue to object to it.
Yeah. So a lot of people got their hands up. Linda still got her hand up, so go to Linda Wern. You're on deck. You're still on mute, Linda.
Mute.
Mute.
There we are. I thought I turned it off. On the 6th of October, there was an email exchange between Gordon and Paul Derbyshire, who's the area countryside officer. And Paul said that in May he spoke to Derek Gander. I don't know who Derek Gander is, but what the bit of that discussion was that when the 1998 report came out, they considered the rights of way and there was insufficient evidence, so they were saying it wasn't a right of way. Now I've been looking for the email that came out about it must have been about 10 days ago, saying that Highways England have changed their mind about this. I'm sure it said that. And I'm sure what the email said was along the lines of what you're suggesting, Jeff, that there would be a right of way through them. But I can't find it. I'll have a look after we come off this meeting, and if I find it, I'll forward it to you all.
Well, can I make a suggestion that we put a little update for next meeting around to see where this progresses, or if somebody can get a bit more meat on the bone in as to where it is, rather than just sort of let County Hall dictate. But it seems like Gordon's on it. Peter Haley.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the key now is like I said, to get that sustainable travel group probably meeting just for this purpose, to get the right people around it and getting the right people around the table, and seeing if we can push this on.
Martin, I think County Hall's on our side. I think County Hall wanted it's.
Yeah, I think really positive about it. I think.
Great. As I say, though, rather than just let it sort of trundle on, and then but keep it moving, keep the thing moving along. So by the time we'll have a next plan committee meeting, that it will be something on there that we can report back. Something's happened or not happened. That's the point I'm trying to make. Please. Okay.
Yep.
Everybody happy at that stage?
Mm-hmm.
Well, better keep on this agenda, because I can smell fish and chips. Civic Society paper on town centre COU applications, retail to residential, and they've provided a checklist. So if everybody's had a look at that checklist, I'm going to test you on the content. So have your papers ready, please, and we'll go to John Humphrey first. Just joking, John. There you go.
That's all right. I've got something to say later anyway.
Good man, good man. So this is what the Civic Society have done, just to get a bit where our look on this is that they're asking that if any property that's a commercial property in the town is sort of given permission, which is really a given now, that they're encouraging commercial property to be changed into residential for accommodation, that a number of things are taken into consideration rather than just flying it through and it happening. Where in the past we've always had a little look at whatever, but most of the stuff is common sense in planning, but I don't know why or how much we can get into the magic list here. But you know, I look at like refuge and recycling storage should be integral to the design, which I think is a key part, but normally commercial buildings would be that way anyway. But these are just like a list of, like a wish list, I would call it. You know, like number 4 there, window reveal should be the same depth as the ground floor as they are at upper floor. So like rather than having windows right to the front of the jam, having them all the same. But that's what you're inheriting in my book. So some things need a bit more meat on the bone, because if that's what you're inheriting, if it's a commercial building then, and you make it into residential, then that's what you're, I don't know how you're going to change. For a good example is a listed building. If you want to change a listed building from commercial to residential, you're going to have issues. So it's a very complex thing, really. But I'm open to chit chat and people's comments, naturally. So I'm shutting up now. Jeff Watson's got his hand up. Go for it, Jeff.
You remember this, Martin. I'm sure you remember the Alnwick District Council back in, oh, God knows when it was, produced a design guide, which was a very good design guide, and contained, if I recall correctly, because I remember using it a few years ago several times, contained within that design guide was a guide by the Alnwick Civic Society on shop fronts.
Yeah. And
I've went through it recently and had a look at it for something else, and it's still pertinent. Everything in it is still pertinent to today, and it's in much more detail than the document we have here. So it's certainly worth a look at, and I did check before we came on air, and it's still available online. If you search for Alnwick District Council Design Guide, you'll see it. And it's well worth a read.
Yeah, it is.
And it's certainly worth trying to incorporate that in anything we recommend, because it's, as I say, all of the stuff in there, and it's very detailed, is still quite pertinent to what we're trying to do here.
So it's a bit juicy reading if you think about it. Obviously, I haven't recently, or we may in the future have this issue of commercial changing to residential. In respect to say like newer buildings, half of this stuff wouldn't apply. I think we're kind of looking at older buildings in the town. I might be wrong, but I'm looking at number 11 there at the bottom of the page. Services and other fittings such as meter boxes, gas pipes and cabling should be avoided from the front elevation. Well, that's how's planning now, really. So in changing a building to have services put in, they're all relevant comments, they're all relevant. So I think with a bit of guidance from Peter and Janet, that we note that we've got this at hand, and when anything comes along, we refer to it. And with the comment that Jeff's made, this existing document that we can refer to. But I think common sense is the biggest one here. I might be wrong, like, but anybody got a view?
Wow.
Linda,
Yeah.
Me.
that one.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good start. I just feel maybe like Jeff that it doesn't go far enough, and it sounds as though there is another document that has more detail, and maybe that's the document we should be suggesting that we use. I made a couple of suggestions on email because I didn't think I was going to be here, but I think there's an argument for going from residential to retail as well. I don't know how much we could put pressure on for that, but certainly there are a few things like making sure that the new frontage is in keeping with the existing buildings, and there's no mention of that. And I think certainly the issue around if the property has been vacant for a long time, then there's an opportunity to maybe change its use. But if it hasn't, then I'm wondering why we should be considering it. So that, you know, there's a few things, and I'd like to get sight of this other document.
I think in respect, oh sorry, Janet, carry on.
Sorry, I was just going to answer Jeff just to say both the documents that were produced are still current documents. They're both still on the planning portal, and if you have a listed building, for example, you are meant to go and they're kind of additional to the main planning documents on the planning portal. So if you're looking to do anything in ANIC, all those documents are on there. So I just wasn't sure whether the Civic Society were aiming this to be an additional, because I know that we've struggled with change of use applications, even using those documents, because they're mostly aimed at listed buildings.
Well, that was kind of my original thought. John Humphrey.
I would just say I was quite surprised to receive this document, because I was discussing this matter with Peter Reid a few months ago, before the COVID thing, and I got the impression that they were actually going to use the ADC documentation. So whether they think this is some sort of précis of it, I don't know. But as I say, I was quite surprised to get this.
The next time that came up was Peter Haley. Peter.
Yeah, I seem to recall not long after I started working here that discussions ensued about the design guide, and I think the planners had convinced the Civic Society that the best route forward would be to have a county-wide design guide.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's gone anywhere.
Yeah.
And that might be why we've got this document now rather than
maybe
the one that we had.
I'm not sure that there will be a county document. We had a meeting with the Civic Society and county officers, probably about a year ago, and county are pulling together a county-wide document. The idea being that there would just be kind of a sort of a slip in for ANIC, another one for Hexham, another one for, but that was the idea is there is a county document, yeah.
Am I right in thinking as well, people, Janet and Peter, that there's a decor, paint and decor document as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, Linda Wood, Mitchell, Linda, would you like Janet to keep you right with putting you in touch with them links on the website or something like that, so you've got a bit more pacification as to see, so you can have a look at them. And
Yes,
then
please,
that way,
have a look.
Well, naturally, when we dealing with property, I got to keep referring to these documents all the time. And I can even take you down list of buildings that have got letters after them, C1, C2, and C3, which refer to properties that are at the back of the building. You've got no idea once you get involved with this, baby. It's something else. But I think the county councillors, as long as they're made aware in the planning process, then everybody can sail the ship in the same direction. But when you've got retrospective planning happening, it all makes a mockery of the whole thing. But never mind, we're positive people, and Linda Warren has a hand up.
I find it quite interesting that we've got all these documents on the planning portal, but we don't see very much evidence, especially in retrospective planning applications, of any of it being applied to the application. And I wonder if there's some way we can get some reassurance that when these applications come in, that the officers are actually taking them into account. I mean, the signs is a good example. I mean, you know, they apply for retrospective plan permission for the card factory or Morrison's or whatever it is, and they just get through on a nod, and that's not in line with the town-wide sign policy, which I understand is part of this documentation.
Well, I think, as you all know, that this retrospective thing, it all runs in line with what we're discussing tonight in respect to, like, if somebody puts a retrospective plan application in, if they've changed it from part of a building from residential, from commercial to residential, in the likes of Linda Wood Mitchell's got a valid point that we should be looking at it more detail, but there's nothing from the county hall side for anybody policing it. There's no policeman. There's nobody making examples of anybody. It just goes around and around and around, and it happens. It just happens.
That's my point. That's my point, Martin.
So how can we, as a council or a town council, I've always said that we should have our own town council set of stipulations and rules that have to be adhered to, and if they don't, then there's implications. Peter Hartley. Peter Hartley, you had your hand.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Martin, I think, talking about the card shop, I think the only reason that actually some change was made there was because Janet spotted it and reported it, and it went through. What's not happening, you're right, is that policing isn't done from a county level. So the only way that we are going to be able to do something more positive than we do at the moment as a town council is for all of the members of the planning committee to spot things, bring them to this meeting, and then the officers take them to the appropriate people at County Hall.
Because like a name and shame would fall at the minute of planning of new properties in the town that have just cracked down, painted what they want, happy days. And so how many times do you stamp your feet, report, make comment? Janet's going to keep it right here. Go on, Janet.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, the card factory did get refused permission. I know they haven't done anything about it, but the enforcement officer did. And the banners on the, the banners on the Gazette got turned down. So there are a few things that do get turned down.
Jeff Watson.
The banners have gone on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So Jeff Watson.
She was fed up with me phone,
Just on that point, Martin, I think if we are to come down more heavily on this kind of thing, we need to incorporate this into the neighbourhood plan.
Yes.
When we do the when we do the amendment, which we hope we'll be doing soon, we should try and incorporate something like the design guide into the neighbourhood plan, and then we can refer people to it.
Go on, Janet.
The design guide is in the neighbourhood plan, but because it's an old version, that's why it's not always, the planning officers say, yeah, but it's old, it's not relevant. 1995, one of the documents is, so they need updating, but it is referenced in the neighbourhood plan. It's just an out-of-date document.
All you really need to do to that design document is change the date, because everything in it is still relevant.
Copy and paste there, Jeff. Copy and paste.
That's it.
John Humphrey, go on, John.
Right, well, this is, I think, the time to bring this up. Unfortunately, we're getting more and more empty shops in the town. I mean, if you just take the upper part of Narrowgate, we've got on one side Clark's, Trotters, PD Quick will soon be vacant. On the other side, we've got Dorothy Perkins, Tui, And then, of course, on the corner, there's the Little Boots and Jobson's Fish and Chip Shop. Now, unfortunately, as people come from and visitors come from the car park up Greenwell Lane, the first thing they see are empty shops. And the one at Clark's is an absolute disgrace with that brown paper stuck in the window. And the only one that really looks acceptable is the one at Tui, and that's because they've got illustrations in the window, if you've noticed them. And my point is, the chances of any relets over the next 6 months are virtually zero. And I would say we've got very limited chances even after COVID's finished. So my suggestion, I don't know whether you agree, is perhaps to approach the estate agents of these various properties and ask if they would be prepared to, and perhaps we can help, put some form of illustrations in the blank windows. At least they look better than the dreadful things they've got at the moment. I mean, we are talking about making the town look as presentable as we can. I mean, that's just what and with empty shops, unfortunately, you're limited. But that was just a thought I've been having over the last couple of weeks as I've wandered around.
That's a valid point, John. Valid point. Linda Warren, please.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I totally agree with what you're saying, John, but just to let you know that PD Quick won't become vacant. It's already been occupied by state photography from Morpeth.
Oh, good. Okay, that's fine.
It was a smooth changeover with that one.
Good.
But
okay,
I
thanks.
agree with you on all the other points.
Good. Thanks a lot.
Well, just a little bit. I was doing my work in the Clark shop the other day, so there is activity. That's all I can say. But I agree, the brown paper doesn't make it very approachable. But on the plus side, we've got a quarter of empty shops compared to Berwick High Street. So the glass is still very full, John. The glass is still
I know, but unfortunately, it is the approach to the town that so many visitors take. That's the point, yeah.
Jeff Watson.
Yeah, can I? That's an excellent idea, John. Can I propose that we actually action what John's just said? I think rather than just noting it, that we actually say, that's something we can do. We can approach landlords and estate agents who are advertising these shops and ask them. It might actually cost the town council a bit of money to assist them in getting some photographs of the town or displays or something in the windows, as John has suggested, and make the town look a lot better.
Well, if you remember, sorry, Jeff, if you remember, when collectibles first became vacant, we had a selection of photographs in the windows there before it was taken over by Specsavers, and that was reasonably attractive, as you say, Jeff. Photographs of the town and so on.
We've got a man by the name of Tim Kent. Tim. I want Tim from Berwick. I've got a mental block now.
Curtin.
That's the man. He's the man. Tim Curtin knows all the relevant outliers and outlets. So there's another little job for Tim's.
I'll speak to Tim.
He knows the numbers and names of each one, John. So let's see if we can get any meat on the bone. If they want to play the game, Tim will find out. Peter Broom. That's him.
Right. Has anybody actually looked to see when the last new business opened up in Bongate Within or Narrogate? No. The only one that I knew of is that Matt Robson was the only new business in there in the last 12 months. The rest have just vanished. And the reason is because, like Berwick's a big issue. And the reason why they destroyed the high street in Berwick was because they got rid of parking. If you kind of get outside the shop, people go elsewhere. And that's what's happened in Berwick. I mean, when I was a kid, you could park on the main bridge, the new bridge. On one side you could, and then they got rid of it and they narrowed the bridge and stopped the parking on it. And it was just like, all these things are all sort of like death knells to town centres. And I think the Narrogate needs to be reopened because it's failed. I mean, I had a really good conversation with Nathan Trotter. Trotter's Bakers have been in Alnwick for 42 years. And he said it was the direct result of the pedestrianisation of Narrogate that destroyed his pass-through business. And he said that COVID-19, he could have remained open because he was a food shop, but he didn't think there was any point at all in keeping it open. And reluctantly, he decided to close the doors forever. Now, that is a direct result of the pedestrianisation of 50 metres of Narrogate. If we're going to do any pedestrianisation, it should be from Bailey's Corner for the full length. Either that or open the road, make it a one-way street so that you've got access in and out. I also recently took a video of an articulated lorry who came down into the town centre and he was stuck. He had to reverse all the way along from Barclays Bank, right along past nearly to Emmencourt so he can negotiate back round the corner. Now, there's no signage at all coming in from the West End to say that there's no access for heavy goods vehicles.
That's true.
Everybody, they've shut the road and they've done nothing about the infrastructure of the town, both in signage or anything else. And it disappoints me from a county council level that they just do these things and they never think of the bigger picture. And that's my bugbear on that one.
Right. So, Peter, just not to stay in the limelight, it's great to hear your version and view of things, but that's like another story for another day on the Narrogate side, because there's going to be have to be a review of that when things settle out and settle down. But the signage is a massive thing. I actually probably seen the same wagon the other morning. It stopped inside the White Swan. He realised he couldn't get through, but then he managed to turn because there wasn't many cars on the cobbles.
Yeah. This was a flatbed. It was a big Arctic, but it was a flatbed. He didn't have a load on.
There was one other one the other day with a big articulated lorry on the back, and he got to the White Swan and pulled in because there was no parking. There's nobody parked.
No.
So he managed to get turned around outside Penrose's and gone back with it. So there's an issue there, which is for the benefit of our district councillor, is the signage at the corner, at Maynard's Corner, because that's where the issues are arising. If they turn left, it's an airway out. It's like a rat trap. Turn right, they can get up the hill. Well, good points, Peter. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get back to where we were. Retail against the checklist. So, do you think we've exhausted that enough tonight? Is Linda Wood Mitchell, are you happy with that? Kind of where we are?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for your comments. It's always helpful. Everybody has different views, and it's all nice to get it into the mix. But I think we've established now that there is quite a bit of stuff available which can be referred to when these applications do come through. So, moving on swiftly. Number 10, Percy Street resident issue. Who can take that one for us?
Yeah, that'd be me, Martin.
Lucky man. Peter, you're a lucky man.
Be very quickly that well, I'm not sure who, there has been a complaint from a resident who lives next to the Mechanics Institute about some traffic issues when kids are being dropped off for dance classes at the Mechanics Institute. I spoke to Carol, who runs the dance classes. She's going to speak to the parents to see if there's anything they can do. But I think the reality on cold, wet, dark nights is that kids are going to have to get dropped off fairly near to the Mechanics Institute. She doesn't seem to think it's anywhere near as big an issue as is being suggested. So I've started the process. I've spoken to Carol. She's going to speak to parents, and I'll feed back to the complainant at some point.
I'm going to be careful what I'm saying, but I think in the past, even the next door neighbours park on the footpath to the Mechanics Institute, Pete. So it's not just visitors to our event, our mechanics. It's actually the people who live there actually park on the footpath, and I'll leave it at that. Peter Broom, you had your hand up. Do it.
Is it? I don't know if this might be worthwhile, Peter, having a word with the vets across the road and see if you could possibly use their car park in the evenings to drop kids off. If you go to the kids along with dogs, vets.
That would sound like a very sensible suggestion, Peter. And I mentioned it to Carol today, but that they have been refused because there was a complaint about it happening. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can read into that as what type of situation we've got here. To be honest, it shouldn't really be on the agenda for this meeting.
What we're looking at though, Peter, what we're looking at, to Peters is, and everybody else, that street is not a thoroughfare. It's not going to have loads of traffic on. It's nighttime when the kids are getting dropped off. It's not as if it's going to cause a major issue. So I would say note what's been discussed, and if they have any more issue, is to take it to county.
The reality is now, sorry Martin, final point for me, the reality is now actually, because of COVID, the kids are going in the front door and out the back. So prior to COVID, there would have been twice the traffic dropping off outside the front than there is now. So why the complaints come now, I don't know.
Are you able to name and shame or not?
No, you can't do that.
No.
Well, it's interesting, but it'll come out in the wash anyway. But anyway, if the person's not happy, they're not happy, and that's the right way to do it, is make a complaint and we discuss it, and then hopefully we get a positive resolution. Do you think that's put that one in the box? Happy? Everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I just make one comment, Martin?
Of course you can.
It's a similar situation to what happens outside schools, and the police often involved. So it might be worth, if it's causing obstructions, and they just have a word with parents and point it out, and you know, they can handle it quite easily if it came to that, if it became an issue.
What I've noticed recently, though, John Humphrey passed up on this a while ago, is what you find is now people are so impatient. It seems like since this COVID thing, people got back out on the streets.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a rush. They cannot live. They cannot wait. They cannot give anybody a couple of minutes' time. It's everything's black and white, and they're shaking their fists, and they're thinking, well, come on, man, just chill, slow down a little bit. In this 20-mile-an-hour thing, it has got legs, which would work in the town. But I'm a great believer in that building's been used like that for years. So whatever the issue is now, I'm sure it might sort itself out, as it were. But we'll just keep an eye on it. Okay, people? Okay, last one. Any other business? It's not going to be urgent, but it's just any other business. Peter Haley, got any other business?
No.
Janet, got any business?
No, but only while I've got Linda on the thing. I've got some apples from Sam Queeg for you.
Happy days. Happy days.
Sorry, just had Linda here to say that.
It's a viable.
For me, Janet.
No planning issues.
Was that for me, Janet, or the other Linda?
You.
Oh, thank you. Oh, bless.
No.
Some for us and some for you.
Happy days. Jeff, got any problems, any issues?
No, just to say I could supply apples to Sainsbury's. I've got tons of them.
You are then? Everybody knows his number. John Humphrey, anybody?
No, I'm fine.
Peter Broom?
Yes, I have. I'm just wondering if we can put this on maybe next month's agenda to review some of the residential parking schemes. The one that I find is most relevant close to me is the Monkhouse Terrace one. That street's deserted all the time now. There must be only about 3 cars that have permits to park in the entire street. Whereas I like the one that they've put next to the War Memorial, where the A6, where public parking is available for so many hours in the day.
Yes.
So residents get to park outside the house at night time.
Exactly, that's what I have in our mouth, Peter.
Well, and I don't understand why we can't review all the residential schemes that are in the town at the minute, because I think you're going to find that Lisburn Street residents there are going to apply for one as well, which could be a catastrophic disaster, to be honest with you. Bearing in mind all the streets that need to filter into that.
Yeah.
And I just think the A5 as it is just, it needs reviewed. I mean, other towns have different schemes, and it just seems to you've killed off a whole street.
Mm-hmm. Right, we'll note that.
I'll speak to Martin about that, Peter, see if he's happy for it on the next agenda, but sounds sensible.
Linda Wood Mitchell, are you happy, lady? Happy days. Fish and chips. Peter Edge, are you all right?
Yeah, certainly no other urgent business.
Well done. And Linda, last but not least, are you okay?
Yeah, fine. Nothing from me.
Okay then, people. So, thank you very much for your attendance, everybody. Got through it pretty good. Everybody's happy. And look forward to our next Zoom meeting, whatever it will be. And I'll see you then. Happy days.
Thanks very much.
Yes,
for
bye.
Have a good evening. Bye for now.
Bye.